the June 15, 2026 regular Seward County Board of Commissioners regular meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Jim Garcia, please lead us in a word of prayer.
Chairperson Steve, commissioners and staff, in behalf of the Ministerial Alliance, I want to thank you for the privilege to come and to
is
pray.
now joining the conference.
At this time, if I could ask if all of us would just bow our head in reverence to the Lord and let us go into prayer together. Father God, I want to thank you this evening for the privilege to come and to pray for our county commissioners. Father God, I hold up April Warden and complete staff, our sheriff, our deputies, and the complete staff, Lord, and all law enforcement. Father God, tonight I think of our fire department, our first responders, Lord. Father God, we ask you, Lord, that you just continue to be with them and give them the strength to carry on in their duties. Tonight, Father God, I hold up our hospital, our Southwest Medical Center, Lord, and our county's health department. And Father God, tonight, I want to hold up our landfill, and especially tonight, I think of our road and bridge department, Lord, the duties and the things that they have to do. Father God, I pray for them tonight, especially during this time. And Father God, tonight I pray for community support. Tonight I pray for each one of you to seek God's wisdom and for his grace and reassurance as each one of you work together in serving our county, our community, to the very best of your ability. May God bless one of each you for your time and your serving and your sense of serviture for our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone that wishes to address the commission? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 1, approve the agenda. Do we have any? Okay.
Commissioner Helm, we have 3 items that we need to add to the agenda this evening. We need to add BOTA update.
Have no 3A. Do you want to wait till the end or 3A?
That is up to the commission. Forrest is going to be presenting that, and he's going to be on the duration with us. So
3A. We'll add 3A as BOTA. Okay.
We need to add Macaulay and Associates, which is the information that I provided to the commissioners in a handout. Angela Eichman, county appraiser, will be presenting that item.
4A.
And then we need to add, Steve Linehan is here with Kirk and Michael. He will be giving you an update tonight, which also will take into account the agreement for engineering services. This is regarding the road project, and he will be giving you more information on that. But if you guys decide to move forward with Kirk and Michael, as you had asked Trish Voth to do on your road maintenance agreement, we will need to sign this agreement. You will need to take action tonight to sign this agreement.
Okay, so we'll make that 5A. So do I have a motion to add item 3A, BOTA, 4A, Macaulay and Associates contract, and 5A as the Kirk and Michael engineering services contract?
I will.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lauterbach, a second by Commissioner Vasquez to add those three items to the agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. So now could I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I will.
I have a motion by Commissioner Matlin, a second by Commissioner Lauterbach to approve the amended agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. The consent agenda. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Okay, do we have a motion to second the consent agenda?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Matlin, a second by Commissioner Vasquez to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 4. All against? Passes 4-1 with Commissioner Stanton voting against. 3A. I'm sorry, 3. New employees. Okay.
It's present.
I knew that. That's why I said 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Item 3A is a vote update. Forrest, are you ready?
I sure can be.
Can you hear me?
So, yeah, can you hear me?
Too loud or not loud enough?
No, you're coming through just fine for me. Am I for you guys?
I was talking to the audience to make sure they could hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, I get the thumbs up. Have at it, Forrest.
Okay, so just so everybody's on the same page, when we're talking about BOTA issues now, it's not the 2 formal complaints that were filed last year that were resolved. The resolution of that is done. BOTA gave us the authority to implement the settlement, which meant returning to revenue neutral. That process is finished. All the taxpayers in the county have been notified of the revenue neutral rate and either given refunds or credits on their taxes to account for that. So that process is behind us. What we have now is 156 pending small claims actions that are pending before BOTA that are all premised on taxpayers that made their December tax payment under protest. That process starts a small claims action within BOTA that is, at least at present, individual. So there's 156 pending protests. It doesn't mean there's 156 individuals, because some individuals might own more than one parcel of property that's subject to property tax, but there's 156 parcels that have filed protests. BOTA notified us of this back in February during a status conference that we had on the 2, I'll call them the 2 formal complaints that were settled. At that point, knowing that we were in the process of negotiating a resolution to the 2 formal complaints, BOTA was willing to kind of put the small claims matters on hold. I think candidly with the idea that if the settlement involved a reverting to revenue neutral, which is ultimately what happened, then there was a question of what would be the reason for the small claims complaints moving forward, because what those individuals presumably wanted, they were presumably challenging the revenue neutral rate decision, although we didn't know that we being the county officials, the only person in the county that would have known the reason for the complaints at that point was the treasurer, because her office was the one that would have accepted the complaint forms. And on the complaint form, there's a 3-page form that you complete, and on the form, the taxpayer has to identify the reason for the complaint. So at that point, we, administration and myself, and what I shared with the commissioners, what we knew at that point is there was 170 some complaints, but we didn't know what the basis of any individual one was. We didn't even know who the complainants were. We just knew the number. Recognizing once BOTA was notified of the terms of our settlement, before the settlement actually occurred, so before we had authority to go in and actually return to revenue neutral, BOTA was aware that was the terms that we had agreed upon. BOTA sent letters to each of the protesting payors, notifying them of the settlement and asking each to respond as to his or her intentions regarding whether they wanted to continue to pursue a small claims matter in light of the fact that the rate was going back to revenue neutral. Most of the 170 some didn't respond. About 20 did respond, and they notified BOTA that they intended to withdraw their complaints. So that took the previous number down to, and I say 20, that'd be 20 parcels-ish. So now we're left with 156 small claims protests. BOTA notified us on April 21st that we had 156 left that needed to be set for hearing. Our thought at that point was we were hopeful that we could whittle that 156 number down, because there's going to be potentially a pretty significant cost to having to do 156 small claims hearings. And we felt that many of those folks probably didn't want to continue to pursue their complaint in light of the settlement, but we didn't know, and they didn't respond. For whatever reason, those didn't respond to the letter that BOTA sent. So we asked BOTA to give us a little time to see what we could do, and at that point, they were agreeable to it. Recognizing that, at least in my view as an attorney, that somewhat cynically, even under the best case, I questioned whether we would be able to get all 156 to withdraw. We certainly hope. We hope that's what will happen, but that's a big number. I needed to start thinking about what information I would need as counsel for the county to defend these small claims matters if they go to hearing. So on the 23rd of April, I reached out to County Treasurer, to Ms. Rose, and asked her to provide me with a copy of a report that she had told me she was keeping that identified each of the protesters by name and address, and copies of the forms that each of those taxpayers submitted with their protest. Again, for my purposes as counsel, I needed to know why those individuals were filing their protest. Were they all for the same reason? Were they for different reasons? I didn't know, and the only way I would know is by looking at those forms. I got no response from the Treasurer's office to my request. Understanding at the time, the Treasurer's office was in the midst of working through the settlement. So I fully understood that Mary and her crew were busy processing the reversion to revenue neutral and the tax statement adjustments and everything that goes with it. So I didn't push the issue for a little while because I knew that their office was busy with other things. In early to mid-May, I had numerous exchanges with Ms. Rose about information that we would need for a notice letter to the protesting taxpayers. Again, sending a separate letter coming from the county. My initial proposal was that Ms. Rose would be the one to send it, because I think a lot of the taxpayers, they've made their protest through her office, through the Treasurer's office. So there would a letter coming from her office might resonate with those folks to let them know that by reverting to revenue neutral, we've resolved these issues. Do you really still want to pursue a small claims matter with BOTA? Generally speaking, she was uncooperative with what I was trying to do and flat out refused to be the one to sign the letter. Ultimately, we reached language on the letter, and the commissioners agreed, or the board through the commissioners agreed to sign it collectively, with each of the 5 commissioners signing the letter. That was about middle of May that we got that worked out. On May 18th, I repeated my request to Mary that I needed the information regarding the outstanding protesters and copies of the protest documents because I needed to be ready to prepare for these small claims hearings that BOTA was pushing to move forward. Once again, I got no response from her or her office to that request. On June 1st, I reached out again, explaining again why I needed the protest documents. Now, at this point, there was some dispute because by this point, Commissioner Helm had made a request for the information that I needed through Cora. My explanation to Mary was my request wasn't a Cora request. I'm representing the county. I need the information she has in order to represent the county's interests in these matters. Again, she didn't respond to me. June 11th, so last Thursday, I again let her know that these documents were outstanding, and again, no response. Well, she didn't respond to me. I was aware at this point that she had responded to the Cora request, stating that she wasn't going to produce anything until she had obtained her own legal counsel. I again mentioned to her that the request from me had nothing to do with Cora. This is one department within the county sharing information with another person working for the county, working towards the same end. And I got no response and still haven't got a response, although I've been made aware that she posted a message on Facebook yesterday that explained that her attorney has told her that it's okay to disclose the information through Cora. Once again, Cora was never at issue for why I needed it. And I still, at this point, don't have the documents or have a response. I understand that she's represented by counsel and he and I have exchanged emails, but we haven't had a chance to connect. I hope to do that this week. On the BOTA front, I just got an updated response from the person that I've been communicating with at BOTA this afternoon. What I had hoped to do was to see if BOTA would set each of the pending matters for a status conference, with the idea that people might just no-show for the status conference if they really weren't interested in pursuing their complaint. And then BOTA could potentially just move forward on those complaints without a hearing if the protester wasn't interested in attending the conference. BOTA was not willing to do that, but what they have proposed is that they will before setting the matters for hearing, they will do a joint status conference via Zoom with as many of the protesters as choose to show up for it. And perhaps through that conference, if we haven't, the letter's outstanding. I'm not sure who's responded to it already. That 156 number may be smaller now, but with however many of those folks that are left, BOTA would set the conference and see if we can whittle that number down. Given the size of the number, I still fully expect that some of these are going to go to some sort of a hearing, and we're going to have to prepare for that. And right now, I can't do that because I don't have the information on which the protests were made. That's a summary from my standpoint. Do any of you all have questions about where we are or how we got here, at least from my perspective?
No, apparently not, Forrest. So thank you, sir, for the update.
Nope, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move to item 4.
I have something.
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry, Forrest. April has a question.
Forrest, I was going to let you know
Yeah.
that BOTA also provided me with phone numbers so that I can reach out by phone to the people that still have outstanding claims to try to help maybe facilitate with them in addition to the letter. So maybe that we could find out from some of them if they're willing to sign something, then that I can send them via email and they can send back. So they did provide me name, address, parcel numbers, and a phone number so that I could reach out to individuals.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think the any contact we can make that's expressed. I mean, the sense that I'm getting from Boda is that they're not willing to dismiss or stop a claim based on an assumption of what someone's non-response means. I think they're flexible to removing the complaints that really don't want to be there. And I think that's better for everybody. They don't want to go through the process of a hearing for someone that is just going to not show up for it. But we need some sort of direct contact with each person. And if that starts out by we've tried the letters, if there's email or phone calls, any means of actually communicating directly with someone and getting a confirmation that they don't want to continue this, or if they do, then just tell us that they do, and we can move forward accordingly. But phone would be if phone call is the way to get a hold of them and have a discussion, that's great.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, Steve. Steve Linehan.
All right. Good evening, Commissioners. Steve Linehan, Kirkham Michael. Just give you a little update of what we've been doing. There's not a lot to update the Commission on. I typically stay in contact with Mark, with Road and Bridge. Not a lot going on there, at least not engineering-wise, with the Road and Bridge. Also regularly talk with Tyler at the landfill. Engineering-wise, still working. SES is still working on planning on the landfill expansion out there, little bit by little bit. So still working on that. And from my understanding, there's maybe some interest from a developer for landfill gas system installation. That may be something that they can update sometime in the future. But that's all I've got kind of for my Kirkham Michael update. Any questions?
I do. Steve, has KAC reached back out to you to let you know kind of where they are on implementing the program that we talked about? And I know they were looking at our safety plan, road safety plan, and kind of.
That's a good question. I need to reach back out to.
Yeah, I was trying to think of his name just now too.
What's his name? Captain Casey. So I'll reach out to him. Apologize, I have not been able to reach out to anybody last few weeks. So I've been on vacation till middle of last week. So
no problem. I was just wondering if he had given us an update. I know he was working on it, but thank you.
So we'll do item 4A, which is the appraiser's office. Then we'll bring you back for 5 and 5A.
Okay.
Item 4A is the McCulley and Associates consulting agreement. If they have questions, they can ask you. I'm guessing this is the standard agreement that's been signed for many, many, many years.
No changes again this year. We just have to have everybody's signature.
And it's been, the costs have remained the same. And it's the same contract that's passed legal scrutiny. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? So do I have a motion to approve the consulting agreement? And all the commissioners have to sign this, correct? Between Seward County and McCulley and Associates for the assistance in the appraisal department.
I would move that we accept the consulting agreement with Macaulay and Associates and sign the contract.
Okay, do I have a second?
I will.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Lauterbach to approve the annual consulting agreement between Seward County and the McCully and Associates, and I forgot the amount, is $39,800. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Now, item 5 is the estimates of the just completion project. It's a new form for me, just completion forms.
Just compensation forms.
Compensation, I'm sorry. I'm used to oil field completion.
Okay.
So this is to allow the county to make offers to landowners along what I refer to as the Satanta cutoff
Correct.
for additional right-of-way that's needed for the upcoming project.
Correct. Yeah, the form just allows us to go to those those property owners with those dollar figures. Now, the dollar figures that you saw have actually been updated. That's what April was just saying. She's going to go get the new ones that got updated. Today, we removed the channel crossing and refined the dollars. It's actually a little bit less than what was a total, I believe, if I did my math correct, is $23,088.96, all of them put together. So she was going to print off the forms. So we actually lowered the cost for you. And it's all got to be fair, right? So it's not we lowered the
Right,
cost.
everybody
It's
gets the
just what's fair.
Yeah, the same
What's fair
rate.
value. Yeah.
Yes. The landowners now advance.
So we'll go to the landowners with that, and ideally they'll accept it. And if you've got any questions on those figures, those numbers, anything like that, we can discuss it. But the landowners themselves could potentially, negotiate something different. But it's all fair value, so it's kind of hard to negotiate too much.
Do I have a motion to approve the just compensation forms and provide authority to the chairman to sign the forms to acquire permanent easements for right-of-way and for temporary construction easements, as well as the replacement of fencing? Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I will.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Vasquez. Oh, I'm sorry, Metlin. You're right. And second by Commissioner Louderback to approve the just compensation forms and provide authority for me to sign those forms. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, now 5A is the agreement for engineering services.
Okay, so what was handed to you before this meeting was our agreement between Kirkham Michael and the county to help develop and negotiate the road use agreement between Invenergy and the county. This is something that Trish Falk has reviewed and approved. I apologize that it got thrown in here late. Ideally, it was supposed to have been submitted last week, but I know that Invenergy really wants to get this road use agreement developed. This is a very similar road use agreement. They've already provided a draft road use agreement to the county. We just want to make sure that it's very similar to the other ones that we've been working on for Meade County and Gray County. And there are a lot of similarities. We just need to make sure that it's all done and then correctly. And then in the road use agreement, we'll have our pre-construction, our post-construction inventory, our construction liaison services while the project is going, assuming that it is approved in the county to move forward. And then that agreement itself has provisions in it as well for compensation for our services, legal services, all of that for pre-construction, post-construction, our services for the road use agreement development as well. So with what you have in front of you, this is actually something that was presented to the county over a year ago, March 2025. Now that Invenergy is kind of wanting to move forward a lot quicker now, want to make sure that we have that agreement in place so that we're ready to assist the county on development of this road use agreement. It's approved. It's done. No, sorry. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I addressed it.
Right.
So like I said, with this contract that's in front of you, it's been reviewed by Trish Both. It's been presented before. It's just we need it to kind of go forward. So if it's possible to sign it today, we can get started on those services.
Steve, I'm not suggesting there's anything in here that's not right or that Trish hasn't approved, but I can't vote for a legal document I haven't had time to review. I just can't do it.
Sure. No,
I mean, if we can table this 2 weeks, that would be great. Or to the next meeting. I don't know if we're 2 or 3 weeks apart right now.
it's totally understandable.
I completely agree. And we could put it on the first meeting in July, which would be like maybe the 7th, the 6th. Okay. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Because none of us have had a chance to read it. Even though our attorney has read it, I still like it.
Fair enough. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Item 6, Amber Williams, CEO, Southwest Medical Center, for her quarterly update.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here from the hospital to give a quarterly update. I believe the last time I was here was in January. We hadn't gotten any financials completed at the time, and we talked about our cost reduction plan, our cost reduction budget. So I'll go over some financial overviews through April of 26. We continue to build our days of cash on hand, meaning how many days we could run the hospital if operations ceased today, and we've currently got it up to 114 days. That's well above most hospitals our size. They're usually running in the 30 to 45 days, so we continue to build on that days of operating cash. One thing that part of the cost reduction plan is that through April of 26, we currently have a net income of $115,944. I know that doesn't seem like a lot of money, but if you compare that to where we were April of last year, we had a net loss of 1.3, almost 1.4 million. So we're working very hard up there to get things turned around financially. We continue to have contract labor in the building, in nursing and diagnostic imaging, but it is way less. I know Commissioner Vasquez and I talked about it last time he was here. We are down to about 12 contract employees right now. The biggest number being used in diagnostic imaging. Right now, the country is having a huge shortage on people to work in radiology, nuclear medicine, that area. So we continue to focus on that. And we know, of course, I mentioned it last time, billing continues to be an Achilles heel weakness for us. We are working on that daily with the outsourced billing company we have, as well as working on a possible hybrid to get that back in-house where we can control it a bit better. Things going on at the hospital. We've already started ramping up for the health fair. It's not that far away. It's the first Saturday in October. Great event for the hospital, great benefit for our community and the surrounding communities. The hospital has become the buyout sponsor for the BJ's game on June 25th, so we will be sponsoring that game. Our current recruiting efforts, focused efforts in 26 are pediatrics and urology. We know we need both. We have one pediatrician that is ready to retire as soon as we can get one here, being Dr. Husseini. And Dr. Lucero cannot see every pediatric patient in the county. So we're working on getting some help for her. Our secondary focus is a primary care internal medicine physician to kind of help out those nurse practitioners for advice or questions on care. And then an OBGYN, as we do have one aging OBGYN. He's a superstar, but at some point he's got to want to retire, I would think. Dr. Katharani, orthopedic surgeon, has made the decision to move on to another opportunity that he feels is best for his family and him. I have talked to him, and he just feels now's the time. He's been here 8 years, and he's ready to go on to a new opportunity. We did, although, have a really good site visit a couple of Fridays ago with Dr. Ansari. You guys might remember Dr. Ansari. He was here as an orthopedic surgeon for years. And he left because he had 2 small children that he wanted going to school with light-cultured kids. And to do that, he had to move his family closer to Wichita. Now he thinks he's ready to come back to what he calls home, which is liberal. The board of trustees and the admin team have been working on a strategic plan. That's being led by board chair, and he's hoping to have that polished up in the next week or two so we can get it put out on our website and pushed out to the community. The hospital is taking part in the Rural Health Transformation Program that President Trump put out, $50 billion over the next 5 years. The hospital was chosen as an anchor hospital, and to put that in the simplest terms, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid picked 10 hospitals in Kansas to be what they call an anchor hospital, a hospital that will work with other smaller community hospitals and critical access hospitals in our area to keep patients closer to home. So we are working in that. We are us and in our area, the 2 closest are us and Garden. They're wanting us to go left and right and Garden to go left and right. And then they've got Colby north. So they're kind of asking for a left-right map of that. We're also working in the reporting. There's money related to reporting of essential information, stroke information, diabetes information. The hospital can benefit from that as well as one of our clinics. So both those, the hospital and that clinic, have been working on those measures. Some of them we will have to put in order to collect as we see patients because we don't currently track that information, but we will have it all ready to go and ready to report in order to obtain those dollars. And then lastly, our chief nursing officer, Sandy Kane, who's been at the hospital for 30 plus years, is retiring at the end of the month. So we are currently taking applications for review, and we'll start interviewing to fill her shoes, which are going to be some big shoes to fill. So,
Any questions?
any questions?
Could you tell us, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Could you tell us a little bit more about, for lack of the proper term, what the Trump program's actually going to allow you to do?
Oh, there's 24 tracks on the Trump program. One thing that we applied for with Meade that we didn't get was a collaboration to bring a certain specialist in to where the cost savings is the cost is shared. So, like, for instance, we put a proposal in to bring urologist the hospital would pay part of the person's salary. So would Meade. So would Satana. So would Hugoton. And then that urologist would just go and do clinics at every single one. As part of the Anchor Hospital program, we're going to benefit from things such as remote patient monitoring, which is something that's fairly new, but it will allow us to put a patient monitor on a person that is remotely tracked to let us know from the patient's information that's tracked at another site when they're deteriorating faster. So that should help with the care. The first year it's just inpatient, but by year 2 and 3, we'll be able to send it home on a patient in the clinic if they would like to track their statistics for a while and see kind of how they do at home. There's 4,000 different things you can track on that remote patient monitor. I don't know how you're going to go through and track 4,000 of stuff. So we're going to have to narrow it down, obviously. But we'll be using a monitoring site out of Nashville, Tennessee right now because via Christie in Wichita is who uses this monitor now. But we would really like to create a jobs center, a center in Kansas with jobs for people in Kansas who are closer to do that remote monitoring. But simply they'll just call wherever that patient is, 4th floor, and say, hey, patient 461 is showing a, respiratory deterioration far before you'll see it as a nurse going in on your round and getting that patient help a little bit quicker. So they're talking about AI in the hospital and in clinic rooms. So you have AI up in the corner and I go see the doctor and it automatically scribes my visit and then it flows right into my chart so that the doctor doesn't have to dictate anymore. They just have to look and scrub and make sure there's nothing in there that doesn't make sense, spelled wrong, misinterpreted, whatever. So they're opening 180 additional, over the next 5 years, 180 additional rural medicine physician spots at KU in Lawrence, Salina, and Wichita, as well as the DO program in Wichita. And those people, to get in there, it's paid for it, but they have to sign a 5-year contract that they will work in a rural community once they get done with school. So, and that will be in family medicine, psychiatric, gynecology, and orthopedics. So we just don't know if we're going to get any money, and if we do, what it's going to take to keep it, because they can always take it back.
Is it a multi-year program?
5 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, and Kansas was the 5th highest state. Kansas got $228 million the first year. So,
Pyro, do you have a question?
Yeah. So, well, first off, the whole monitoring thing and you talking about coming to Kansas, that sounds awesome to me. And Eli's right behind you, and I hope we can do something and try and get some of those jobs that you're talking about. I don't know what that entails, but
right,
that would be awesome.
It would just be healthcare workers sitting in the call center, basically watching monitors and making calls.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to
Yeah.
bring the liberal. But so with the anchoring hospital, could you explain a little bit more of that? And I mean, it sounds cool, and I'm interested to just see what it looks like in the future. Like, so can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So as an anchor hospital, there's 10 of us that are anchor hospitals. We're kind of our own committee, our own board. We meet every month in a new anchor hospital. So I've been to Salinas Hospital. I've been to Hutch. This month I go to Colby, and at some point all those hospitals will be here to meet at our hospital. And I currently already work with the critical access hospitals in the area. Send your patients to us. If they're too much of an acuity for you to take care of, let us get them back and send them back to you, because a critical access hospital makes money in their swing bed. So you would send those back to the swing bed, and that's where those critical access hospitals would benefit. So we're kind of like, it's kind kind of a lame term, but we're kind of like the anchor of this area to get these hospitals to work together, because it's a proven fact that if you take care of your patients closer to home and they don't have to be sent to Wichita, then you don't have a family worrying about finding a place to stay and paying for food and paying for gas back and forth and how long are they going to be there. And so along with that is where we talk about bringing in a urologist and trying to get an ENT in at some point and building up our OBGYN so that we have everything that they need to get care here.
And then you mentioned a few doctors leaving or retiring. I'm assuming there's a plan to be able to bring more back in and replace those people leaving.
Correct. I think we're trying to anticipate Dr. Knutson. He's given no indication that he will ever retire, and he may not. He may just work until he cannot work any longer, meaning no longer amongst us. I just have that feeling about him that he'll just work himself, maybe even after. I don't know. He's pretty amazing. But as we get those, we've started writing into contracts, like when we brought Dr. Knutson's practice on. As part of his contract, he will help recruit his replacement. So he will be key in getting an OBGYN in to cover his practice and take over those patients. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah. Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm left-handed, and so trying to do this. No, I'm halfway there.
Amber, thank you. It's been a long process, but we can see the light of day
Yes,
again.
very much so. So
we
we're
appreciate
gonna,
everyone hanging in there.
We're going to keep pushing on, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item 7, which is Great Plains Development Update. Bob Wetmore of Great Plains Development comes here every year, gives us a presentation. No action needed. He just gives us a presentation every year. So,
Yeah, we do.
He was very concerned that you put any of your report in your packet, but he changed it.
I did. I edit from the bottom up, and it works well. When we make presentations like this.
Thanks, sir.
Let me grab it. My name is Bob Wetmore, and I'm Executive Co-Director of Great Plains Development out of Dodge City. I do have someone who's, and she's not my better half, but she is the other half of Great Plains Development, Faye Trent. She's our co-director. And the cool thing about us is we found out just a few weeks ago, we may be the only 2 co-directors in economic development districts across the U.S. because it's a U.S. thing. So Faye and I co-direct. We do have an associate director, Hannah Sparks, who couldn't be here tonight. I was hoping she could. We cover the 28 counties of southwest Kansas. We've been around for 44 years. Actually, our predecessor, Greater Southwest Planning Commission, has been around since '72, so they were around for 54 years. It's been 54 years technically because it all merged together in 1982. We wear two hats, just as a quick recap, two hats. One would be the grant hat. And so for not so much here in Seward County where we don't have a lot of really small communities, Kismet is there, they would have eligibility depending on the programs and that for different municipal grant programs. We're the folks that help with that. The Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, out of the Department of Commerce, we're the folks that help with that. We're also the folks that help with USDA rural development programs. We help with KDH&E programs, so we work with all those different programs. Our job is to be available. We've been around since legislation created us in the 80s to actually help the different districts of the state. So our 28 counties here also include small business loan administration. So think of us as the people that also helped with SBA, small loans. And then we also help with, if you go into your packet here, the giant sheet in there, the 11 by 17 sheet, actually shows all of the programs on it that we do have. So there's all the grants, all the loans, and you don't have to memorize it, and there won't be a test. But if you did need something or you had questions, we can actually dive into each one of these because we actually help with all these. Our job is to kind of be available to everyone. Banks come first. For instance, when we do small business loans, banks come first. So we usually get leads from the banks. Our job is to help provide gap funding for those different loans. Economic development districts, like we are, also work with local economic development organizations. So Eli and staff is somebody that we work directly with. If Eli needs our help, he yells at us. We'll work with them. And the Kansas Small Business Development Center to help get people directed for business planning. Then we'll also help find those loan sources. If a small business has a good bank and a bank loan, they don't need us, and we're good with that. If there's some gap funding needed or there's just some kind of a program needed to help get that small business off the ground or to take an existing business and help them with an expansion, that's where we come in. There's different, in that list, different sources that can be used. You've probably heard of Eli's e-community loan fund. That's one of the loan funds that's available through Network Kansas. If they need a larger amount of money, there's a Network Kansas Grow Kansas fund. And if you go down through my summary list there on that one sheet, you can see that there's several different programs in Network Kansas that we can help with. Great Plains, we have our own revolving loan funds in-house. So if it looks like something doesn't quite fit either with an SBA loan and assisting the bank with an SBA loan, or if for some reason a Network Kansas fund isn't quite enough, or we can even partner with e-community funds with Great Plains funds. So if we get a bank turned down, that's okay. That's not a bad thing because that can help us as Great Plains to come in with in-house funds and then partner with Eli and an e-community fund to help get that business off the ground. So that's part of what we do. The other part of what we do is working with the Kansas Department of Commerce. This year, we're also working with the Kansas Department of Transportation to help with community programs and all these different funds that are out there. All these funds and acronyms that you can't figure out, our job is to help try to find sources for everybody for those funds. So as they come and go, our job is to help put those in front of small businesses and help them find an end to that. Within the last year, we did a Rural Excellence Initiative. We had two great people from Seward County Community College come up to that. We had a workshop as part of our annual meeting, and we're putting together a 5-year plan. Every 5 years, we're required to put together a 5-year plan for the region. And then we take the data from each of our counties We work and find out what's going on with economic development. And our job is to put together a 5-year plan. Why? Because the U.S. Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration, that's what we call EDA, has programs that we can actually access or implement out here. So our job is to help counties and cities with finding out what the needs are, and then not only working with federal government agencies out there, but also working with Topeka, which is why we spend a lot of time in Topeka working with Department of Commerce and Department of Transportation. The other thing that we'll do is kind of hang together as a group of agencies. We have 2 state associations that we work with. Again, why? To take the fact that we don't just have dirt roads west of Wanamaker, but I didn't say that in public, right? But we have needs out here that are very specific to our rural area. So our job is to kind of get that translation up to Topeka. That's a lot. I'm sorry. In a nutshell, questions, thoughts. Every year, you folks have been wonderful with a voluntary dues membership. If you would consider that again this year, it hasn't changed. It's $7,420 and 84 cents based on per capita, 29 cents per capita. I think it's 29 cents per capita. Is it in the back there?
That's 34.
Per capita population.
34 cents.
Yeah.
Hasn't been 29 cents, Bob, for probably about 10 years. I'm very young, as you can tell. Thoughts?
25 cents per capita. Commissioners, as you'll see on his report, Eli Swati is our representative for city, county, both, and the dues that we pay to Great Plains Development comes from the Seward County Development Corporation funds that both the city and the county fund.
And I have this for Eli, so I don't want to confuse you. This is actually for Eli. Any thoughts or questions? Anything I could answer? If you do have anything,
We
just
appreciate you. Worked with you for a long time, Bob.
thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to item 8 is the Seward County Development Corporation quarterly update. Eli Swati, the director.
A lot of updates tonight, so we'll keep up some good news. Good evening, commissioners. It's nice to be here and talk about the many projects we have going on at the Development Corporation. To start, some updates on Apogee Energy out of Taiwan. So it's been 6 months since we announced their location and their plan to move to Liberal. I know it's been quiet since then. That's because they've been doing what I wished a lot of companies were doing, which is ensuring that they had contracts in place and that they have the buyers in the U.S. And they've been doing that very successfully to the tune of about $1.4 billion in contracted sales for 2027. So next phases now include the contract chain or the contractor improvements to the building, including fire suppression systems, new facilities for the manufacturing, making sure they're ready to go on that. Their target goal is end of Q4 2026 because orders need to be fulfilled by early 2027. The other component to that is that since the beginning, they've talked about co-location with other companies. So those 2 companies have been identified now. One of those is called JC Technologies. This is a drone manufacturing company. These are military drones. They're kamikazes, similar to what you would consider an old mortar that had a little tripod and you drop your mortar in. These have a little tripod you can carry in your backpack. You can handle about 3 of these. They have a small payload capacity, and soldiers can move and drop and launch these anywhere from the battlefield. So this would be their final assembly for those drones based in their Liberal, Kansas site. And then there's a third company that does solar panel manufacturing as well, that will begin with a small operation and manufacturing line within that same building, with hopes then to establish larger facilities once we can prove out our workforce and their operations here. So excited to see that really coming to light now. The Apogee team is very excited about Liberal. They sing our praises as they make contracts around the U.S. So that's a good thing for us there moving forward. Second, we've been working with a company called Glide Technologies. Sometimes companies want to stay pretty quiet. Glide is really interested in getting connected with potential clients in the area. So Glide has an operation based in Southeast Kansas right now. They're in the Great Plains Industrial Park. They are really a transloader and intermodal company that works between rail and the highway to make sure companies that need to bring supplies in by rail or that need to send things out by rail have a quicker access. Even for Apogee to bring their first shipment over, it went past Liberal on the rail all the way to Kansas City and then was trucked back. So having some sort of a logistics hub here that we can move goods in and out faster would be awesome. So Glide Technologies is very interested in the market. They are looking right now for potential clients, either to bring goods into the Liberal Seward County area or surrounding. They would do anything 50 to 100 mile radius, or vice versa. If you have goods you're trying to ship out, we would love to get connected with to them so that we can kind of build out what that client base would look like to justify them setting up a full-time operation here. In terms of some other potential projects, now these I'm going to just give very high level because these aren't anything secured, but commerce, there's always kind of an ebb and flow of what comes and goes in terms of potential projects. And sometimes they'll send out requests for proposals for some sort of, they need a 2 million square foot building and they ask for 5,000 jobs. And we look at those and think, well, that's obviously going to go to Wichita or Kansas City if it goes anywhere. Lately, it's been a little bit different. So some of the latest ones, there was Project Seek is what the state called it. This is a value-added ag industry that specifically wants to be located near a large-scale meat processing. As you can imagine, there are only a few places in the U.S. that would qualify for that. So we are actively pursuing that company. We've kind of hit that second round now of the application process, hoping to have a site visit sometime in July with that company. Second one is Project Pillars. This is an advanced manufacturing company. This actually came through connections with one of our own local industries that's been working with this company. This advanced manufacturing would work with containerized buildings, but it would be welding, HVAC, plumbing, all things that we do really well at Seward County Community College. And so we're hoping the state has presented that company with their incentive package. The company is now reviewing that. We are in competition against Iowa, Texas, and Arizona in terms of where that company wants to go. So we're hoping that the local contact with that and the state's proposal will help us win that out. Project Proteus is another value-added ag project. The requests for proposals were due just last week, so we submitted a site for that. This is another one that has specifically requested to be near large animal processing, which again, fits right in with what we do here in town. And then there was another project that really it's not named by the state yet. We had our first meeting last week, additional expansion of some existing manufacturing in town. And so hopefully that timeline works pretty well and the company finds that they do want to invest more and build out in the community. So we've got some bigger industrial projects. The nice thing about all of those, the jobs would be somewhere in that 80 to 100 range. So nothing that's going to overwhelm what we currently have for housing or schools, but also fit something that we can do really well as a community. Other updates. So the state and the federal government launched what was called Opportunity Zones 2.0. This came out of the 2017 tax program put together by President Trump. The initial plan for these were tax havens really for capital gains taxes. And you could, if you had one of these opportunity zones, you could have a qualified opportunity fund that would invest in infrastructure, in industrial projects, and housing projects within those 10 years. We were not even considered in that first round in 2017. You have to be approved at the state level and then submitted to the federal level for final approval. They re-up every 10 years. So we had one qualifying census tract. We have submitted that for approval on the state level. The state only gets to select 53 census tracts from across Kansas to qualify for this. We are hopeful that our application will kind of get us to the top. There's no guarantee really of projects other than it makes us more attractive as a community for investment if we have a qualified opportunity fund. So those were submitted in the 1st of June. We'll know from the state if we were selected by July 1, at which point it goes on to the federal side. The federal approval is really just making sure we do qualify based on census tract information. The real kicker is whether or not the state will select us as one of the 53. In terms of small business support, Bob, we do a ton of work, and last year we wrote a lot of loans. Those were primarily e-community loans and then some Grow Kansas loans on some larger projects through Great Plains Development. It's been a little quieter this spring, not for lack of entrepreneurs coming in. We've had a steady flow of people coming in with ideas to start businesses, but really what the emphasis has shifted to now is making sure they're successful when they're operating. We pushed out a lot of loans over the last 3 years, and so within the office, Raquel and Tom have been working with those businesses now to make sure they have the systems in place, that their cash flow looks good, that they've been able to capitalize on that business launch and ensuring that they're going to have long-term success, not just you got a loan, 6 months later you're floundering because you don't have the right systems in place. So they've been putting together a lot of tools and are going to be rolling out some additional programs this summer to help those businesses as they kind of launch and grow. Another one for the county, we do have a developer looking at a potential RHID in the county, so they'll have more information coming to you in the next few weeks. This is that Rural Housing Incentive District where, if approved, and when we've seen these in the city, then the property taxes on that particular project as it's built out would be collected to repay the developer until those costs are recuperated. This can be a varying scale in terms of what those costs are, but we do have a developer interested in that on the county side of it. The last thing I want to give to you today, it's impossible to turn on the news or look at anything and not hear about data centers. So the Assistant Secretary of Commerce, Paul Hughes, does a roadshow around Kansas where he provides just a brief presentation on kind of where Kansas sits in the data center thing. I wanted to give this to you today, if for nothing else, just so you have some numbers about Kansas, because what he wants to really emphasize is there are a ton of speculators out there, a ton of companies that have no business in the data center world. They're just cold calling communities, and there's a lot of buzz, and in the reality, there's not very many companies that are out there. And so I'm going to give you a copy of this, and then we'll talk through just a few slides. I don't want to go through the whole thing with you, but just to give you some kind of base of where Kansas sits right now and where Department of Commerce stands on that.
Thank you, sir.
So he does road shows. Communities can invite him in if anyone would like to just talk through kind of where Department of Commerce stands. This particular packet just kind of talks through some of what the state of Kansas has put in place with Department of Commerce. But what I want to show you guys, first of all, is just if you flip to page 4, this shows kind of where Kansas stands right now in terms of the number of data centers. When this was printed, we only had 19. We only have 19 in the state of Kansas right now compared to some of these other states. Texas has 413. Virginia has 865. So it is very much the topic of conversation right now, but we're not being inundated like some of these other states. Paul Hughes with Commerce actually worked in Arizona prior to this, so he had significantly more experience. Now, from the commerce side of things, the state legislature did pass SB 98 last year. And what is good about that is that because we're later to the game than a lot of other states, we're able to take lessons from them and build out a program that protects our counties and our communities and our state a little bit more than some of the others. So the SB 98 legislation is put in place to do that. The other point of information I wanted to really pick out of this was on page 9. That shows the map of data center activity. So there are really only 20 projects on the state level that are actively in development phase. Compared to the number of phone calls out there from speculators, that is a very small percentage. You'll see on that map, like Seward County, we're not included on that. So no one is calling here, no one's reaching out. So I don't want anyone to worry or think one way or the other. You'll see the counties around there. The only ones in southwest Kansas are Finney, Ford, and Gray. Ford County has had 2 data centers operational for a decade already, and nobody even really knew about that. But this gives you kind of a map of what the activity looks like and kind of why there's a huge discrepancy between speculators and that. The one thing to note, too, is that the state put together what's called their Fusion Center. Any company that is seeking to put in a data center in Kansas has to be approved through that. If they have not been approved through that Fusion Center, then they're not a legitimate company. That Fusion Center guarantees 1, that they're not going to be heavy water users. 2, that they've done their due diligence on power. 3, that they have community support. All of those things that we expect a good company to do. So the state has some good checkpoints in place for that. But this is really just here so that as you are hearing conversations about data centers and about calls and about plus or minus, that you know that the state at least has some numbers on it, and you can say, look, it sounds maybe a lot worse than what it actually is. Questions about that? That's a lot to go through really quickly, but I wanted to at least get that to you so you could review later.
Well, I have a question, but
Yep.
I've had an advanced peek at this,
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
know. What size are the data centers that are in Kansas? I'm just curious. I've heard that there are 2 in Ford County that have been there forever. I mean, are these minis? What are they?
So I'm basing mine off of a conversation with economic development in Dodge. To my knowledge, they are in buildings that exist in Dodge City, so they must be fairly small.
Okay.
Even on the 20 that are in development phase, as it says there, the smallest one is only 12 megawatts. And the largest ones then are what you would consider those hyperscalers that are several hundred.
So there are some hyperscale developments.
Yes.
Okay.
On page 7, it says data centers and water use. On the bottom ones, it says immerse, cool, liquid, and then on the bottom it says liquid cooling, or water cooling and liquid cooling are very different. Could you explain a little bit of that?
So as I was taught this, I was explained this by Paul Hughes. There are data centers that are still water cooled. If you look around the Great Lakes region, those are still just kind of a traditional water cooled system, kind of like a sump pump that you would see. Now, if you have a very high tech Department of Defense data center, those in some cases have gel submerged panels, for lack of a better word. So that computer is actually submerged in some sort of a gel solution. So there's really no other liquid that flows through it. It's submerged in that liquid that doesn't change water like everything else does. But those are for extremely high security, high intense Department of Defense typically.
Yeah. So it's more difficult to get those.
I would assume so, yes. Paul Hughes did say that communities have the authority in those initial development agreements to say, if you want to even look at this place, you have to meet these expectations. Like, we will not accept any company that does this type of cooling. It has to be this type of cooling instead, or you can set very strict noise parameters and whatever. So there is that flexibility because these hyperscalers, as you well know, they have massive budgets. And so it's really a matter of the community saying, this is what you're going to do. If you want to be anywhere near here, you have to meet these parameters.
Thank you, Eli. It's helpful information for all of us, I think.
Thank you.
You're still up.
Oh, I didn't know if you were going to make him do that or
That's
not.
fine. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have to say anything. He can just stand there, I guess. I don't. No, so item 9 is to finalize that we agreed on the Seward County Development Corp Resolution 2026-13 and the interlocal agreement, which simply transfers the Seward County Development Corp payroll and just the payroll to the city of Liberal. The funding's still the same on the county's portion, no change. So this is just to formalize those agreements that we agreed on. And we had to wait till 1st of May or 1st of June because of Blue Cross Insurance.
1st of May.
1st of May.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And it was one of those two. So it really became effective, or will backdate to 5/1.
The city agreed, even though we didn't have an agreement in place yet. They felt they had enough trust in us that we were going to continue forward with this, and they didn't want those employees being penalized to have to change insurance plans in the middle of the year and different deductibles and all of that good stuff. So they transitioned them to city employees as of May 1st.
And for some of the new commissioners, this has been in conversations for at least 4 years. When the city kind of remerged, these talks started even back then. So this is not something that just happened overnight. This has been a long term, and really the only thing we were worried about on the development corporation side was we didn't want there to be any major changes. And so far there haven't been. It's really just what flow of money looks like from one to the other. So so far everything's been great. Nothing changes. We loved our time as county employees, and nothing will change within the development corporation in terms of our effort and work within the Seward County side. And again, this has been in talks for at least 4 years.
Okay, so could I get a motion to approve Resolution 2026-13, which is concerning the Seward County Development Corp. And the City of Liberal?
We're going to do two motions, one for each
So
doc.
I was going to combine them.
Okay.
And also to approve the interlocal agreement and allow the chair to sign the interlocal agreement and the entire commission to sign Resolution 2026-13.
So moved.
Sorry,
So moved.
do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stanton, a second by Commissioner Metlin to approve Resolution 2026-13 and the interlocal agreement regarding Seward County Development Corp. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eli.
Do you want to do the signature page while we're on it?
Is this the real signature page, Stacia? Is there a real?
She,
Is this the page that we need to sign, or is there like a?
Lots of things.
She's got.
Okay.
yeah, and since she just mentioned that, we'll need everybody to stick around to make sure we get everything signed, because there are several things to sign this evening.
Okay. Item 10. This is to approve Resolution 2026-12 with the Bank of the Plains. Back in November, we authorized purchase of a Cat D6 dozer. We did that to lock in pricing. We finally got it. We'll have it.
So a little bit interesting deals. The blade has arrived, but the tractor they don't know where it's at. They are expecting us to have it by the end of June, but they're having a hard time locating where the tractor part of the dozer is at.
You would think it'd be the opposite, but anyway. Okay. So, this is, and the original purchase price was $600,753.94 with no trade due to the trade-in having a
Mechanical failure.
getting a bad engine in it in the meantime. So, if I could get a motion to approve Resolution 2026-12 for the purchase, the financing of the Cat D6 dozer.
I will.
Oh, and authorize me to sign and authorize the chair to sign. Okay. That was second.
Second.
You take it. Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Lauterbach, a second by Commissioner Metlin to approve Resolution 2026-12 with the Bank of the Plains and allow the chair to sign it. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Item 11 is the preservation of ballots and election records. County clerk. This is there's no impact. It's the, Stacia, do you want to kind of explain this?
It's basically a statute that tells us when we need to destroy election records, and they're all sealed in the statute. Basically, it's 6 months for city school elections, and it's 22 months for state. So we're needing to get permission to destroy the 2022 primary election, 2024 presidential preference primary election, and the 2025 city school elections. And in the motion, and in the KSA basically tells you that you have to appoint people to do that. So that is in the motion, to appoint the chairs of both political parties. And if they can't serve, they need to find their replacement, just to be present when we destroy the ballots.
Clean out the basement. Okay. So do I have a motion to designate the chair of the local Democrat committee and a chair of the local Republican committee to be present and oversee the destruction of election records for the 2022 primary election, the 2024 presidential preference primary election, and the 2025 city school elections pursuant to KSA 25-2708B. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
You made the motion? Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
I knew you'd know. So we have a motion by Commissioner Metlin and a second by Commissioner Vasquez to approve for the destruction of the old records. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Tax sale update. Mary Rose, treasurer.
Evening, Commissioners. Mary Rose, County Treasurer. This is in reference to the tax sale recovery. You received an email on May 29th, 2026. That information was about the sale that Mr. Foreman did, and that sale was finished and finalized, proceeds and everything on May 29th. The tax sale that is still ongoing on Tuesday, June 9th at 11:45 a.m., a change of date was requested by Clendell Astrom in Seward County District Court. The change of the date was granted, and due to the fact of conflicting dates that an attorney was to appear the next day, June 10th, in federal court. Because federal court trumps district court, he had to attend, and therefore the tax sale date that was scheduled for June 10th has been moved to July 10th. And that is it.
Any questions? Okay. Move to item 13, the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. This is a grant. April, it's a grant we're going to apply for. Yeah, it's for the Assistance for Firefighters. This was applied for back in 2025.
Yes.
And just now received notification that we can apply for the grant. The financial impact is $59.50, the amount of the grant.
The financial impact of $5,950 is for the Ferguson Group to help in preparation to help us apply for the grant. The grant that we're applying for is actually $650,000. Yeah.
Okay. So we need to take formal action allowing the staff to submit the application for the AFG grant and authorize the $59.50 expenditure.
Yes, I'm asking that of the commission, even though this was done back in 25. This current commission
wasn't.
Only 2 of you were here during that time with scrutiny and everything that we're under. I'm just asking the commissioners to take formal action on this tonight and allowing us to move forward with the application, and that everybody knows that the financial impact is $5,950. Whether we get the grant or not, that's what we're paying TFG to assist us in writing this grant.
Do you know, I mean, we didn't know in 25, do you know the timeline?
He said the first notifications may come as early as October.
Okay.
But our application, once it's put in, there will be other award dates, and so we possibly might not make the cut in October, but we could be considered for future dates that they would make awards, and they would definitely notify us if we weren't selected as well.
Okay.
And are you the signatory on the application?
In 2025, you guys allowed me to sign the application, but tonight I would just like for the commission to take formal action that they understand all of this. So,
Okay, so do I have a motion to allow staff to submit our application for the AFG grant and approve the expenditure of $5,950 to prepare the grant and allow the county administrator to sign the document?
I will.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Lauterbach, a second by Commissioner Metlin, to allow staff to formally submit the grant and spend $59.50, and for the county administrator warden to sign the agreement. All in favor? Motion 5. That would be a great
thank you.
benefit to Seward County.
And we pretty much finalized our application. We're all looking, Brady, Brock, and I are looking over it just to make sure there's no anything that we see that would need to be changed, and we are hoping to submit it on Thursday. Due to the holiday on Friday, our grant writers are not working, and we're supposed to have the day off too on Friday, so we're hoping to submit by Thursday.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item 14 is the Seward County Southwest Guidance Center Board recommendation. This is done every year for expiring terms or as needed. The one application we received is from Deborah Huddleston. So do I have a motion to appoint her to the Southwest Guidance Center Board for this is a one-year term?
On the Southwest Guidance Center Board, the commission just makes a recommendation to them. So we're asking tonight for your recommendation of Deborah Huddleston. It is a new appointment, so it would be for a 3-year term.
Okay, so does it need formal action?
Yes, that you guys are recommending her
Okay,
appointment.
so could I get a motion that we recommend Southwest Guidance Center appoint Deborah Huddleston to their board of directors for a 3-year term? Have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stanton, a second by Commissioner Metlin to submit and recommend the appointment of Deborah Huddleston to the Southwest Guidance Center Board for a 3-year term. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. Item 15, consideration to sell property. A few years ago, 2 or 3, the county,
In 2023.
3 years. The county demolished the structure at 301 East 5th. The building, I mean, the lot's been sitting there uninhabited since then. So, like to discuss the procedure to go through it. The commission wants to sell this lot and put it up for bid. And so what's the commission? It's a vacant lot, you know. I guess if someone could build a house on it, it'd be an asset to the city rather than a liability to the county.
How big's the lot? What's the recent comps and appraised value? If we have any of that yet.
I do not have that information. Angela, would you happen to know any information on the old Red Cross building lot at 301 East 5th. He was asking if we knew the size of the lot or the current appraised value. Okay. It would be vacant right now. I know. I don't have it either. So
it's small. Okay.
It would be a small.
And we have no projected use for it, I assume.
We need to be in the business of selling property, not acquiring property.
I asked, we have no projected use for the lot.
I'm sure it's zoned residential. So
if it's that small, sell it.
It was the health department many years ago.
Yeah, many years ago it was, and I think they all officed out of the same mobile home as what it was. It was health department, and then it became the Red Cross building, and then after years and years, the mobile home became dilapidated and uninhabitable. And then we finally tore it down and cleaned everything up. And so the lot has remained empty since 2023.
So could I get a motion to direct the county administrator to put out an invitation to bid for the property / lot located at 301 East 5th in Liberal, Kansas?
I will.
Do you have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lauterbach, a second by Commissioner Metlin to direct the county administrator to put out an invitation to bid for the property located at 301 East 5th. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0. We're getting there. Item 16. It says reference to this SBA tower lease site that's at the current health department on, I guess, 15th Street.
Yes, it's located at 1411 West
That's
15th Street.
It's right behind the health department.
Yeah.
Right beside it,
Yeah.
depending on how you look at it. So currently we received a lease payment of $976.64. SBA is proposing a buyout for $185,000, which would allow them use of that in eternity. It's a one-time lump sum and payment in lieu of future rent. Again, they're still not buying the property. This is just a many year lease.
Where would the proceeds go?
Sorry?
Where would the proceeds go from the lease buyout?
That was what I was fixing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
the commissioners would get to determine where they would want the proceeds to go.
I think we determine where it goes, but I think we could almost generate the current lease payment with interest on the one, setting the 186 aside and drawing interest on that.
Yeah. It's just a direction of the commission as to what you would want to do with it. I just wanted you to know what the monthly rent payment was, and the lease buyout option. I think roughly, with the rent payment that you get, I think it's around 15 years to be equivalent to the $185,000. And again, they're not purchasing the land. That just gives them a perpetual easement to the property for as long as they would need to occupy it.
I mean, I certainly don't want to take the 186 and blow it. Or spend it.
And I would need to look at your debt schedule to find out what's still owed on the health department. I mean, that's an option if you wanted me to look at that as well.
I thought it was within a year or two of being paid out.
I believe.
I don't like quoting dates any longer because we get.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But,
I'm not going to quote anything.
But there's, as I recall, it's a year or two left on the lease.
I mean, I can go get the debt schedule and tell you, but I don't want to misquote it.
Right. So, anybody got an opinion?
I think I like your idea of drawing interest off of it by putting it in somewhere. But do you think we would get the monthly payment like every month off of that interest, or do you think it'd be yearly?
I mean, I guess that would be up to
interest rate would be.
the treasurer's department to, I mean, it would be part of her invested funds, correct, Mary?
Do you think that's actually feasible?
To equal the current rent payments, you're going to have to get significantly higher than market rates on interest, because at 4%, you're a little over $600 a month.
Yeah. So
It would be close.
That's 2/3 of what we're getting now. But it's a lump sum, so you could have a lot of options.
So this evening, really, there's no action. I just need direction. If you're interested, then SBA will send an easement agreement that we would then ask legal counsel to review. If you're not interested, then we simply do nothing. We just go forward with our monthly rent payment.
So, Ira, are you interested or not interested?
I think I'm interested. If we do something like that, just because. How many years did you say that would cover? Like 15?
15.
15.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, looking ahead, if we can at least get that and, like you said, draw some interest, I think it could set us up for like a very long-term plan.
When does the current lease expire? Ooh.
That's a good question. I'm not positive on that. We acquired this lease when we bought the health department, and
okay.
I would need to, I do believe we have paperwork on that with the closing documents from the health department, but I don't have that in front of me.
Might be able to get more money. I mean, if it's close, or if it's, you know.
Is there any monthly, is there any yearly escalation in rental adjustment upward, or is it just a fixed amount forever?
It is a fixed amount since we've had it.
Okay.
I will tell you though, they check in with us periodically just to make sure that we haven't had any complaints or we don't have any issues. They just want to make sure that because they're on our land that and I always check with Bree at the health department just to make sure there haven't been any complaints or concerns or anything like that. And then, of course, we do have a contact that we can always reach out to if we have any questions. If there's ever a change in our contact, they're always good to let me know who our new contact is and how to get a hold of them.
Could you maybe do two things at once? Get us data on the current lease, and at the same time, at least get them to send the draft language so we can start that process. We wanted to go that route.
Yes, and I can bring it back to the next meeting if you're okay with that, or do you want it before?
I just included it in the packet.
Anybody object to anybody not interested? I mean, I think it's worth checking out. It's not. We're not saying we have to do anything, but it's certainly worth looking at. But I want to really emphasize that it's not a one-time windfall that we spend. Then you have to do those every year.
So I will bring it back to the next meeting, the data on the current lease and the easement agreement. If they get the easement agreement to me soon enough that legal counsel has enough time to look at it.
Okay. Item 17, item 17, June men's mental health month is June. Commissioner Vasquez won proclamation designated June as the men's mental health month. Seward County recognizes the mental, emotional, and physical well-being of our citizens is foundational to our strength, resilience, and prosperity of Seward County. Seward County is dedicated to promoting community awareness to prioritize their health. The recommendation is to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the proclamation designating June as Men's Mental Health Month in Seward County. Have a motion?
Can I say something real quick?
I'm sorry.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
About it? So, you know, one of the big reasons why this is kind of important to me is a couple of years ago I actually lost a brother to suicide, and I think it's important for men to seek out you know, help and you know, people, and build a support system around them to be able to talk about things, you know, things that are heavy, sometimes things that are hard to explain, but you know, we understand that we deal with a lot as men. You know, I think society, and especially in Hispanic culture, there's this thing about machismo where, you know, you're just supposed to be super strong and not show any weakness or anything like that. But you know, life gets tough. It's difficult. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up is just to remind the men in this county to you know, talk to somebody. You know, one of my oldest brothers as well is a Marine, and he does a lot. Right now he works in the VA in LA County, and you know, he has to deal a lot with that. And we were having a conversation the other day, and two things really stuck out to me that we were talking about. Number one that we talked about was again, kind of going back to the machismo thing, that a lot of time we focus on not showing anything, or, you know, sometimes being mean or something like that. And what we kind of came up with is, are you strong enough to be kind? Was number one. And then number two was, you know, as a man, we can be strong, resilient, but still feel deeply. And that emotions aren't masculine or feminine, and that they're human, and that it's important to normalize that. So,
Thank you very much. Would you like to make the motion then?
yeah, so moved.
I'm about to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
No, it's always good to hear. Not good to hear, but it's good to hear. Coming from the heart. So,
yeah.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
You have a motion by Commissioner Vasquez, a second by Commissioner Metlin, to approve and authorize the chairman to sign the proclamation designated June as Men's Mental Health Month in Seward County. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0.
Commissioner Helm, do you mind if we read the proclamation? Or if you would like to, or I can, either way.
Read it.
Okay.
I'm not a good reader.
Okay.
Not a good, anyway.
I just think Commissioner Vasquez brought this to me, and this is something that we've had to deal with in the county as well. And so I thought it was very important. So the Board of Seward County Commissioners, Seward County, Kansas, a proclamation designating June 2026 as Men's Mental Health Month in Seward County. Whereas the mental, emotional, and physical well-being of our citizens is foundational to the strength, resilience, and prosperity of Seward County, Kansas. And whereas men's mental health is a critical public health issue that is too often overlooked, resulting in a silent crisis of undiagnosed depression, anxiety, and severe emotional distress among men and boys. And whereas societal stigma and traditional expectations frequently discourage men from seeking medical care or discussing their emotional struggles, causing many to suffer in silence and delay life-saving support. And whereas the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention reports that men are statistically 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women, a heartbreaking reality that impacts families, workplaces, and neighborhoods across our state. And whereas establishing a culture where vulnerability is embraced as a strength and where seeking help is recognized as a courageous act can actively reduce preventable tragedies and improve the quality of life for all residents. And whereas Seward County is dedicated to promoting community awareness, increasing access to local behavioral health resources, and supporting initiatives that encourage men and boys to prioritize their health. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Seward County Commissioners does hereby proclaim June 2026 as Men's Mental Health Month. Seward County, Kansas urges all residents, businesses, schools, and healthcare providers to break the stigma, initiate open conversations, check in on the men in their lives, and promote a culture of care and support.
Thank you. Okay. All in favor? We didn't vote, did we?
Yes, I think you already voted. Yep.
Okay. We did. I was so involved in listening. Item 18 is executive sessions.
The first one that we have is a legal executive session, and it would involve both Forest Roads and Chet Compton.
And for how long do you think we need Forest?
And this is more on Chet. I would say 10 minutes.
Yeah, because it's okay. So 10 minutes.
Okay, I move to recess into executive session for consultation with our attorney, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship under KSA 75-4319B for 10 minutes, that we said, April? For 10 minutes to include April, Brock, the commissioners, Chet, and Forrest to reconvene in the commission chambers at 7:28. All right. 7:28. Subject matter of discussion will be privileged current attorney-client discussion.
Do I have a second?
I will.
I have a motion by Commissioner Metlin, a second by Commissioner Lauterbach to go in executive session for consultation with attorney. And we will resume at 7:28. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. session with no action as a result of executive session. Now we need another executive session.
Yeah, I move to recess into executive session for consultation with our attorney, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship under KSA 75-4319B2 for 15 minutes to include Forrest, April, Brock, Angela, and the commissioners. Reconvene in the commission chambers at 7:45. Subject of the matter discussion will be privileged.
And just because we have two Angelas now.
Oh,
Angela
Eichmann, sorry.
Just to clarify, no big deal.
Angela Eichmann.
So do we have a second?
I will.
Have a motion by Commissioner Matlin, a second by Commissioner Latterback to go in executive session. 15 minutes for consultation with the attorney. We will be back in open meeting at 7:45. All in favor? Motion passes 4-0 with one
All right. We're back.
Okay, we're back in an open meeting. No action as a result of executive session. Now we have a personnel.
Yes, personnel. So I move to recess into executive session for discussion of personal matters of non-elected personnel under KSA 75-4319B1 for 15 minutes that include, who's all going to include everybody except all the commissioners except Commissioner Metlin, Brock, April, and Angela Johnson. Yes. Did I get everybody? Okay. Oh, and Forrest.
And we'll resume at 8:02.
And we'll resume at 8:02. The subject matter of the discussion will be
Personnel.
There we go.
Okay. Do we have a second? I have a motion by Commissioner Vasquez, a second by Commissioner Lauterbach to go in executive session for 15 minutes for personnel matters, and we will resume at 8:02. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes 4-0-4. Abstain? 4, and 1 abstaining. hear me? We're back. We got to wait however many seconds.
10.
Yeah. Okay, we're back in. Angela. Okay. Okay. So we're back out of the executive session. Do we have any action as a result of the executive session?
Mr. Chairman, I will move that Seward County employ Michael Rice as fire chief at the Seward County Rural Fire Department, that we will waive his insurance waiting period and with a start date of July 1st this year at $82,000 per year compensation.
Do it in a second.
I will.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Stanton, a second by Commissioner Lauterbach to employ Michael Rice as the Seward County Fire Chief, starting wage of $82,000 per year. Start date is 7/1/26, and we will waive the standard Blue Cross waiting period. Okay.
Hey, Steve, just so everybody knows, I was, due to a scheduling conflict, I was unable to make the interviews, so I will not be voting on it.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have, raise your right hand. Motion passes 4 with one abstention, with one abstention. Okay. So apparently we need another 5 minutes. 5-minute executive session personnel.
I move to recess into executive session for discussion of personnel matters of non-elected personnel under KSA 75-4319B1 for 5 minutes, to include Angela, April, Brock, Forrest, the commissioners. We'll reconvene in the commission chambers at 8:10.
Okay. Do you have a second?
I will.
Have a motion by Commissioner Matlin, a second by Commissioner Lauterbach to go in executive session for personnel matters. We will reconvene at 8:10.
All in favor?
All in favor? The phone's kind of messing up. Okay, we're back in we're back in open meeting. No action. So we're on to item 19, administrative comments. April.
Commissioners, I got you my weekly update, but in that weekly update, I let you know that Brock and I had completed the EMPG reimbursement grant. We were eligible for, I got to find the number here, $25,936.60. However, because there were no reported drills or tabletops or anything, they would only award us half of that amount. We were notified today that they've already approved our application that was due on Friday. We should have the money. I think it said within 5 to 7 days, and we are awarded $12,968.30, and that will go back in for salaries. We're being reimbursed for salaries in emergency management. We will get our stuff submitted this year, so hopefully we can receive the amounts that we're used to seeing in past years.
We appreciate you and Brock following up on that next year. Hopefully we have an emergency management director and it won't slip through the cracks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commission comments. I think I started.
You did. So, no, I don't have any.
You're denied as well.
I'm good.
I'm pretty much good. I just have to say something. I'm keeping my head up. We're going to make the county better in spite of all the back talk. So I appreciate everyone hanging with us. Suggestion cards.
Commissioners, you did have an anonymous suggestion comment card. Why are there so many executive sessions and why are they lengthy? Is this something being hidden? The executive session statute is very limiting. Is the commission putting themselves in the county in legal jeopardy? Maybe citizens need to start asking questions. Note, this was first submitted on May 18th with no response at the following commission meeting. This was the first time I had received this. I did a search on Civic Plus to see if this had been submitted, and somehow we dismissed it. I was not able to find anything. So as soon as I got this one, I'm sharing it. I sent it out to you the very day that I received it. Forrest.
See, the phone keeps Forrest. Are you there?
Why is it not?
Huh?
Well, he says he keeps unmuting it and then it mutes itself back.
Yeah, the volume's all the way up and then it goes back to mute.
Is this what's muted?
I can press that.
Forrest, can you hear us?
Yes, you're fine.
Okay, it's this. Okay, Forrest, we read a suggestion comment card about executive sessions. I'm going to reread it so you can hear it because I think that it would be good for you to explain some of the legal attorney-client privilege in executive sessions since it's being questioned. The comment card is, why are there so many executive sessions and why are they lengthy? Is something being hidden? The executive session statute is very limiting. Is the commission putting themselves and the county in legal jeopardy? Maybe citizens need to start asking questions. So I guess any guidance you can provide to us in the commission and maybe the community to understand executive session.
Sure. So I mean the comment is a large generalization, which is there's a bit of a difficulty to respond because the circumstances that support exec sessions are unique to each situation. So the Kansas Open Meetings Act, or COMA, is what governs the meetings of public entities like the Board of Commissioners, and it provides, the presumption is that meetings are open to the public with open discussion, but for various legal and practical issues, the Kansas legislature has identified certain categories of discussions that a governing body is permitted to go into executive session to discuss. Some of those, for example, if you're talking about, there's an exception for non-elected personnel. And the concept there is that personnel discussions ought to be private. You don't share. Now you don't share. No one would want, if they're having an issue with their employment, no one would want that issue shared with the public. That's the premise behind the exception for non-elected personnel discussions. When you talk about attorney-client privilege, for attorneys to provide candid legal advice, the courts have decided that this privilege exists that supports clients being able to talk candidly with their attorneys, and the attorneys being able to talk and provide candid legal advice without fear that the information is going to be shared potentially in litigation with the opponents of the party, for example. So one of the requirements that the law imposes on attorney-client privilege discussions is that they have to be kept confidential, which means that only those people that essentially have a legitimate need to know within the organization can be present. And the exception for COMA, for attorney-client privilege discussions, recognizes that. You can go into exec session to discuss a matter that involves the attorney giving legal advice or getting information that the attorney needs to be able to provide the entity with legal advice, and it be kept confidential so that the privilege is maintained. Since I've been in this capacity with the county, those two circumstances represent the lion's share, perhaps all. I didn't think to go back and look, but that represents the lion's share of the reasons that the board would elect to go into exec session, and those are completely permitted by the statute. There's not legal liability to the county for doing it, and in my experience working with other public entities, that's normal. Every entity is a little different in terms of the volume of those discussions, depending on what's going on in the county at that point in time. But having exec session discussions for non-elected personnel or to discuss matters that are protected by attorney-client privilege that's the norm when those topics come up. That's not unusual.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate it.
Sure.
We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Yeah. For some reason, I'm always looking to my left and not my right. So we have a motion by Commissioner Metlin, a second by Commissioner Vasquez to adjourn. All in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
Everybody, you stick around because we have a number of signatures needed.